Hello and welcome to Actions to Wealth UK with me, Ash Bull, taking you through this week's market analysis. We will start with Forex Factory, but there are other bits and pieces that we can certainly talk about before we get actually onto the charts. Most notably, the UK election that happened over last week, and there's been developments over the weekend. Hung Parliament when the votes eventually came in was the outcome of that election. Prime Minister May's supposed arrogance has backfired in her face. So while she was after an overall majority, so she could go into those EU negotiations and push for a hard Brexit, the country have rejected that particular stance on how we are now going to exit the EU. So we'll have to see how that plays out over the coming weeks, because we have an EU negotiation starting a week Monday. So I think June the 19th, if I'm correct, certainly around that particular time, early next week. We'll be starting those initial talks on the EU negotiation. And it appears that it will be Mrs May at this point that is going into those talks as she puts together a deal with the DUP, which is a Northern Irish party that she could do some sort of supply and confidence deal with. So we'll vote through certain bills, but it won't be a coalition, so it won't actually be that they are in equal power with each other. The Conservatives will still hold the balance of power, but the DUP will vote on certain things like budgets and stuff like that. So that could put the UK into further chaos and could put sterling on a sell mode. Let's check out the week, and it is a huge week for sterling. So we have nothing really of note on Monday. CPI data on Tuesday is going to be watched. I suspect we'll probably be in a similar kind of position here. Any more that starts to creep up near that 3% line is going to put a lot of pressure on the Bank of England. PPI month over month will be noted, but I suspect again it won't be a huge driver, and I don't think the CPI will be a huge driver initially. As we get into Wednesday, this is where the week really starts to get interesting. Average earnings index. This is a much more important number. Those average earnings have to come in line with inflation for Mark Carney to act from the previous statements that he's put out. CPI month over month, core CPI month over month, core retail sales month over month, and retail sales from the United States. All going to be interesting. These are the big numbers, not crude, but the FOMC economic projections, the FOMC statement, and then the federal funds rate. Predicted to be forecast and predicted to be risen to 1.25%. Will they hike again? That is the big question. It's been the big question on everybody's lips ever since the first rate hike. Then we have an FOMC press conference, GDP quarter on quarter. If this isn't raised, then we may well see some pretty sharp and aggressive selling in the US dollar. From Australia, unemployment claims and employment claims already had a pretty decent run in the Aussie. So will this be the potential turnaround, the potential launch pad to take it further up, or maybe we kind of just allow ourselves to catch up and take breath with the trends that have gone on over the last week or so. Swissy, again, LIBOR rate and SNB monetary policy assessment. So again, more rate statements coming from Switzerland. And then we get on to the big numbers from the UK. So this is actually on Thursday the 15th. MPC official bank rate votes. These could start to get interesting. You know, we might start to see just a turnaround in sentiment from some of these bankers of what they believe the monetary policy should be. Monetary policy summary, and then the official bank rate. So projected to be left on hold. And that may well change. Things are starting to become very, very sticky and difficult for the UK economy, and the Bank of England will be certainly no escapee of all those aspects. Bank of Japan policy rate, so another rate decision. So it is really a rate decision week. So we have the Swissy, we have sterling, we have the US, and we have the yen all having a rate decision this week. So it could be a tricky time to trade. It might be very, very volatile in a positive way, or it might be just a little bit too difficult. But we'll see how we get on throughout the week. Now, what's happening in some of these on a technical level? We have an undoubted head and shoulders starting to be formed here with this dollar CAD, with the left shoulder here. Head and right shoulder, so that there is a distribution pattern that's happened here. Also, we've got this evening star 3-bar pattern that does also suggest downside in the dollar CAD on this daily chart. So looking for some downside dollar CAD, let's have a quick look at sterling, because that's also could be one that could be very, very volatile. Interesting thing about this is that this suggests that even though the forecast is for that rate decision to be hiked, the dollar could find some pressure. It may be that this doesn't play out, and it might be that this right shoulder still has a little bit further to go of fluctuating around this area to this area before we actually start to break anywhere to the downside. But if it does remain at these levels as a high, then the suspicion from that point will be that we might well start to get a drop, particularly if that rate decision doesn't come in to be positively read by the market. This is the dollar, the sterling. So sterling again, a bit of a head and shoulders pattern going up here. Certainly some sort of distribution is happening here. However, this was the vote, and as soon as those exit polls got released, we saw a gap down in sterling, and it hasn't managed to recover, and it's now broken these levels of resistance. So looks to me like it's a sell the rip scenario with sterling, and certainly with all the news and data that's coming out and what happened last week with the election, it doesn't seem like there's too much positivity or any reason to get long sterling. So I suspect sterling is going to have a bit of a turbulent time. Considering what we've just seen with the CAD being stronger than the dollar, I'd quite like to see if there's a trade here in sterling CAD. So looking for some downside in this one as well. Just about broke through levels of support here. So this may be resistance level. We might be looking at other levels possibly if we consider this being the start of the previous move. 23.6% retracement puts us bang on that line, so that looks pretty good. Possible that we have to look at the highs here, which means some sort of 23% retracement takes us a bit higher, but the 38.2% retracement looks more likely because looks like there's more around this particular area here. So looking effectively at a short sterling and possibly a short dollar scenario. Early in the week, I suspect a little bit of weakness from the euro, but really the euro is in a buy mode. So the things haven't hugely changed with the euro, but maybe just a little bit of weakness to continue at the start of the week before we start to get a little bit of a turnaround. That's the picture right now. So possibly coming to test these lower levels. We'll just quickly check out the dollar yen, considering there's rate decisions from that too. This again looks to me like there's a potential for almost either way at this stage. It's possible that we start to find some footing down here, namely because of this line here. So it's possible that if we can get back through here, this could act as some sort of false breakout. But for right now, we're going to have to judge this to be in sell mode. So anything that does pop its head up and start to look at these levels here, we might well find some sellers coming into the market at that point. So the dollar yen looks kind of weak. There was a simulation of what would happen if they started to taper in Japan last week. So there might be some expectation that might even become reality fairly soon. So that might just add to the picture of a bit of yen strength. But we'll have to see if there are any true setups as we go. The kind of thing that I think I would like to see with this one would be on a 4-hour chart. On this 4-hour chart, I'd like to see this this particular level broken through and back tested before I was looking at any short opportunities. unless there was an opportunity for the market to pop up to this level way before news and data. Because, as I say, there's every likelihood that we're going to find some resistance up here, some technical resistance up here. So if it's purely on the technical, trying to sell in this area, if there was no news around us, would be fine. And then we could see if it was to play to the downside and move stops nice and tight to break even before anything was to happen from there. So dollar yen, I'll be looking out for a little bit of upside to get an opportunity for some downside. Sterling, just about with any cross, I'll be looking for downside opportunities, though it may be a little bit tricky, but it might be just a case of just get in with Sterling. As irresponsible as that sounds, I just don't see the fundamentals working out for sterling. So we'll have to see if I'm right on that one. But we'll see as the week progresses. I hope you enjoyed the update, and I hope to see you in TTR next week. Have a great week. Be patient, be profitable, and enjoy your week.